Booyah. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the man. This has been a long time coming, dude.
It has. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited, man.
I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
So I have, how do I do this? Oh, let me see. I'm trying to do where, like, I have this streaming on my Instagram right now and it's in my ear. So I need to, I'm trying to see how do I shut the mute? And we got people joining on Instagram. You guys, if you're on Instagram watching this, go to Facebook and watch it, or go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, Bow Wow Bill on YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can. Oh wait, maybe it stopped. Okay, there we go. I think I shut it off. Cool. If you guys are on Instagram watching this, let me know in the comments down below. But I think we're good, man. I think I shut off the audio for the Instagram. So fantastic. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing awesome. Jason's outside. He's got to get into the nice Texas weather. It's 70 degrees, sunny, and a week before Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm gonna eat it up, man. We had a rough summer. We went 2 months where it was over 100 degrees every day.
Oh my
So
God.
any day like this, I'm gonna take advantage of and stay outside as much as I can.
I do not blame you one bit, my brother.
Yeah.
So let me go to our Facebook now. That's what I do is I typically go to Facebook and I share this on my personal page.
Okay.
And while I do that, do you want to tell people who you are, where you're located, and what you're all about?
Sure, sure. Well, my name's Jason Vasconi. I own Transform My Dog in Dickinson, Texas. I live in Santa Fe, Texas, both small towns out south of Houston. And I am a father of two kids. I got a 20-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter, super awesome wife, and super awesome life, man. Nothing to complain about over here.
Dude, I love it. And you're my buddy, dude. I've known you for quite a while now.
We have, man. I was thinking about this earlier today. I don't know if you remember, but I believe the first time you interviewed me, if I have to guess the year,
2010.
2010? Are you talking about at the conference?
Yeah, Hutto, Texas.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that, man, you knew the date. I was guessing. I was going to say like 2006. I would have been a few years off.
Yeah,
I was,
2010. I believe so. It might be 2009. But it was when Temple Grandin was at that conference, dude.
it was. Yep.
Yeah, and I met everybody. I was doing the Dog Coach magazine, and I had a booth at the IACP. We're talking about the International Association of Canine Professionals, which I got to throw up a link now up in the. And basically, that was my first delve into going to the conference, and it's been I've been to over 10 of them since then in the last 13 years. And let me put down in the link. I didn't go. Did you go to the last one?
Yeah. Yeah. I was there.
Okay, in Minnesota.
I've never missed one, man. I haven't missed one probably 20 years.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah, I've been to every one.
cool. I heard that it was a little bit smaller in Minnesota. What were your thoughts on the conference, the IACP
I,
conference this
I
year?
thought it went well. I thought it
Okay.
went really good. They usually call me and ask me to race dogs.
Oh, that's right.
So, oh, man, I really enjoy doing that. Um, we try to put on a good show and entertain everybody. It's a pretty entertaining event. So, most likely, man, if they keep calling and asking me to do that event, I'll keep going.
Now I have to go and find a video of you racing dogs, dude. I think it's my Bow Wow Bill page. I have one on. Well, I might not. Let me see. If anybody has a video of Jason racing dogs, let me know. And explain what the race is. I know what it is because I've experienced it, but people that don't know, um, What is the race, the dog race that you do at the ICP conference?
All right, so there was a dog trainer by the name of Dick Russell, and he passed away many years ago. Cancer got him a while back, but at the end of his group classes, he would have a competition where you would have your dog sit and stay, go load a target about 20 feet away um, with a dog treat. Well, he used hot dogs in this class. And then after you loaded your target, you'd come back to your dog. And then on cue, he would tell you to send your dog to your target. And two people at a time would send their dogs to their target and then run back and sit. And the first dog to sit won the race. And I implemented that in my group classes at the time. When I learned, I used to go out and watch his group classes. I probably saw maybe 2 or 3 of his classes. So I implemented in my own programs when I got back, and it just made a really good ending, to your time with people after they just finished up your group program. And when I was on the board for the IECP, back in, I think 2016 was my first year on the board. They had asked me if I could bring that to the conference and if I thought it would work. So I don't see why not. And we gave it a shot and everybody enjoyed it. It was a big hit. It gives people, just the average dog trainer, a chance to get out and compete with their dog. It's a simple thing to teach your dog. You can do it in a matter of hours if you have a little bit of experience behind you. And I feel like everybody at some point, especially if you're a dog training professional, needs to put yourself in a position with your dog to where you can compete and, just experience the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. And man, it's just a wonderful feeling, whether you do good or not. So it just gives people the chance to sign up for this, that go to conference and experience that. And every year it seems to grow in popularity. And every year I feel like it gets better. We change things as we go and add things. And I think last year was our best year. Everybody had a great time. The finals ended up good. And we had a lot of fast dogs. We're getting a lot of people that are really taking it serious.
Yeah.
So almost every dog last year that signed up had a chance to win. So it was super competitive. We do the best out of 3. So a lot of the races came down to the 3rd race.
Look at Todd. Do you see the screen share that I'm doing right here?
Yeah, I'm looking now. Yeah, there's Todd. No, he's the one that started all this with me. He hasn't helped me in a couple years of doing it. He hasn't been at conference. But that's a funny thing. So I just asked him. I was like, hey, man, I need an MC for this, and I think you'd be great because he's got a great sense of humor. And I had no idea. And he showed up in character and showed up in outfit. And it was just a great addition to what we were doing as far as entertaining the crowd. Since then, we've had Heather Beck up, and that's her she was a judge that year. But two conferences ago, she was an actual MC, and she dressed up and entertained. Beautiful. And then last year we had Adam Gibson. He dressed up and entertained, and he did a great job also.
Fantastic. And this is just kind of preparation, I believe, but you can see this was 2018, so 5 years ago. So this was one of the first ones. Oh, there's Glenn. And then there's Georgia Dog Training. Oh, who is that?
Yeah, there she is.
The one.
The one, the only.
Letting me into the room here. And let's see if we got this, I think. Okay, here we go. So this is what I wanted to show people is, and you know what, this is what I love about it. It's just like what you're saying, Jason, is like, as a professional, you should feel what it's like to compete with your dog, because it's a kind of a different standard. It's a different feeling, but it's also a way to, show what you can do, but also develop a kind of a different relationship with your dog. What do you think?
No, I agree. It does. I do sheep herding trials with my border collie, and I've had really good relationships with my dogs in the past. Ever since I was young, I always felt like I was always at a different level with my dog than most people that I met, especially the average pet owner. But man, the bond that me and my dog have right now, man, sometimes it just hits me in my heart on how in tune she is to what I'm thinking. Like, for example, there are so many times where I make the wrong decision and she knows,
And
and
fixes
she'll
it.
just stop and look at me like, "You sure? Like, I don't think you're right here. You want to think that over?" And giving it a second thought, I'm like, "Oh shit, you're right. I did fuck up." And then I can correct myself. So it's just amazing, um, just how smart they are.
Well, it's that interaction here. And what are you doing? You're making, so how far away is, so you're putting, what are you doing right here? We got the two dogs sitting here. We got one cone and another cone. And then I saw you on the earlier one that you had the paper plate. And so the goal is that the dog, or why don't you explain what is the goal here?
So right there, I'm just talking to him and going over the rules, making sure we're all on the same page so it runs smoothly. And what I'll do at that point is I'll bring them up close to the targets and have them run a short race, like a warm up, just so the dog has a good idea where the target is. And we'll do a warm up race. So I'm bringing them up to the warm up race, and basically everything's off a cue. So they
So
loaded
they,
up, yeah, they loaded up their target, showed the dog that they were putting the cookie on there,
okay.
that they were loading it with the groceries.
I remember the schnauzer that Emma had. That's Cricket.
It is.
I, I put all my money on Cricket that year, dude, and she didn't win, but she got, I think, one of the finals.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the short. So I'll have them sit there. Tell them to tell their dog to stay. I have them watch their opponent. I want them getting to the target at the same time. I want them getting back to their dog at the same time. As soon as they're both established and set, I'll tell them to send their dogs. Come back, have them sit for that second cookie. And then after we have this warm-up race, then I'll have them back up to 20 feet marker, and we'll just do the same thing. And that'll be the one that actually counts.
Okay, so now it's the real deal. And this is so much fun as far as professionals to watch, and that's what everybody is here. It's a dog training conference, so everybody's dog trainers, and this is what, if you ever want to know what dog trainers do for fun, we train our dogs.
So they'll get them set.
Stay. So, and this encompasses so many different commands in obedience. Stay, sit, stay, walk away, load a target, walk back, send in the dog.
Yep, then we send them. And it wouldn't surprise me if Cricket gets this. She was a good competitor.
Yep, she did. Cricket won. And then that's your job as a referee, is to tell who won. And do you ever have any that are like nose to nose, like, oh, there we go. So she's, since they're the judge. Okay.
Yeah, so everything's filmed from a couple different angles in case it's a close race. Right. And the judges, whether it's close or not, we want to make sure that there's no fouls, because you can scratch a few different ways, and even from the beginning and the start. And they just watch the whole race, make sure everything was done properly, and the judges will be the one that decides the winner. They bring the news to Todd, he announces it. So my job as the ref is just to make sure that the race runs smoothly, and the judges are the ones that declare the winner.
That's awesome, man. Paper plate recall race, and then here we go to the ref. And yeah,
we'll bring them up. I'll get a hold of their hands, and I'll raise the winner's hand in the air when they announce it. And then everybody applauds. It's super fun.
So paper plate recall race. And the original job of this race, or this exercise by Dick Russell, was recall, right? It's a recall exercise.
It is. It's just in the way he explained it, it was a old gun dog trick to help teach dogs directions. So once you get one target established where you send them away and come back, you'll start adding in more targets. And so as you progress, you can start to send them, it's all about learning hand signals with directions with your hands. So eventually, when you're surrounded by plates, you park your dog in the middle, and with your hand signals, you can say, all right, go to this plate. And you can send them to the left, or go to this plate and send them to the right. And you change it up as you go when you got multiple plates. So you can send them to the left and call them back to you, and then send them to another target. But you don't have to always call them back. Once you get to a certain point, you can send them to a target, and before you call them back with your hand signals, you can send them to another target. So the whole concept is, if you can send your dog to your right, you can send it to your left, and you can send it away from you, it's much easier to call them to you.
Love it, man. Love it. And Dick was, when did he pass?
It might have been in 2010. It's been a while. I don't know the exact year. It wouldn't be hard to find, but I couldn't give you the exact year.
How did you get into working with dogs?
Me? So, man, I was 17 years old, and when I got my driver's license, I wanted a dog. I mean, I liked dogs growing up. My parents had them, so that was part of getting my driver's license. I wanted a dog I could haul around in my car. And the girl I was dating at the time ended up getting me a black lab puppy. His name was Smoke. He lasted 17 years. So eventually he was old Smoke, and he was all gray. He was around a while, but he turned out to be a really good dog. And one of my friend's older sisters got a Shih Tzu puppy, and she was like, "Man, I want my dog to be like yours." And I was like, "Well, she asked for my help. I was like, "Well, I can bring him with me for a couple of weeks and let him hang out with me, and we'll see what we can do." I'm not, I don't train dogs or anything like that. So I kept her dog for a couple of weeks, and when I brought him back, she was super happy. Gave me two $100 bills. I think this was in 1988, and man, that was a lot of money back then. Gas was probably 50 cents a gallon. You could get two tall boys of beer for 50 cents in the cooler. So it lasted me a while, and I was like, well, that was pretty easy. Well, I ended up dropping out of high school in 9th grade, and I needed to make money. I needed to make a living. So I got a job at a kennel, cleaning kennels, and they had a dog trainer there. And within 4 months, I took his job. And since then, this is the only job I've had since I was a kid. So I haven't had to do anything else since then.
Fantastic. And then I just looked up. It looks like Dick Russell passed away January 6, 2011.
Okay.
So yeah, you were super close. And I believe cancer, right? He had cancer.
Yeah, it was cancer.
Yep. And I remember Cindy Duan, the Georgia dog trainer that we just saw on there. She was talking about him. She was a student of his as well. So, yeah, a lot of times we stand on the shoulders of giants, man. But it's also the the additions that we make too on observations as professionals, and it's so cool that we have this technology now, right, where we can live on the internet forever, man. Have this this content be evergreen, and that's why I do these live streams, Jason, is to talk to people like you, who I'm friends with, that other, especially new trainers, can glean knowledge from. What advice do you have for anybody that is either thinking about getting into dog training or just got into it?
Pretty much just what you said, man. There's two ways you get your education. One is through guidance. One is through experience. One thing I didn't have when I started was guidance, just for the reason what you're saying. There was no internet. If I reached out to, I think there was like 2 dog trainers in my area that had dog training centers, and when I reached out for to make friends and get some guidance, they just kind of pushed me away. So when I started off, it was all trial and error. It was all experience. If you get it wrong, try to remember, try something different. But man, yeah, nowadays you can get both. So find you a mentor, and get as much education as you can. Once you find something that fits your personality and something you believe in, stick with it. Learn as much as you can, become the best at it, and you'll do fine.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I like when people reach out to me. I mean, do you take shadow students? Do you train trainers now?
Um, I just now started offering that, the
Okay.
one-on-one where people come to my place again. My last shadow student I did 3 years ago, and then I stopped offering it. I just needed to focus more on getting our center run the right way and get that running smoothly. But I think about 6 months ago, someone reached out and they were asking about it. And Liz came to me and she was like, "Well, what do you think? You want to start this back up?" So yeah, I am offering it again. Um, but it's been a few years since I brought someone on one-on-one.
Okay. Tell me about the center. Where is
Um,
that at? Is
yeah,
it
so it's in Dickinson, Texas. We do daycare,
okay?
we do boarding, and of course, we do training. And yeah, man, it was a rough start at first. It was something new, something I wasn't used to. It was a totally different world than what I had done my whole career. So it took a little adjusting to get used to. Um, had a lot of rough times at the beginning, but as of right now, man, things are running smooth. I'm super happy with it. It's super successful. We're super busy, and probably here in the future we'll open up a new location so we can expand. And it's put me in a position to where I don't have to work 80 hours a week, and I actually have a life outside of work, which I didn't even know existed. And so I can play with my border collies and do my herding thing. I have time to travel and trial. I eat dinner with my family every night. I cook dinner with my wife almost every night. We can go on vacations. Yeah, so that was my main goal when I decided to expand and start hiring people, so I could have some free time. I just kind of got to the point where I realized I was missing out on a lot of stuff working as much as I was. Um, a big part of that was my kids. They were getting old, and I really didn't even know them. When they would get home from school, I would be leaving to go do group classes, and yeah, just I was just getting to the point where I wasn't really enjoying it much anymore because I had just done it so long for just so much for so long. So the only way I could change that, I felt, was to start hiring people to take the load off. And it took a while to get there, but I feel like I'm here now, man, and things are going good.
No, I mean, I remember you gave me some tips too, dude, and I agree fully with you, man. Are you still loving the millennial gals that you were like, dude, these are the dream employees to me, and that changed me, and that's where I hired some of them. And dude, I got to tell you, they've been the best employees I've ever had. You want to share that knowledge, or is it just still hold the same?
No, I think so. My staff, we only have one guy on our staff. They're all females, and most of the positions that are at Transform Our Dog are entry level. We have a couple positions like our office manager, our center manager, my head dog trainer. Those are people that have been with us a little bit that have worked their way up. Um, I don't do any of the hiring at our place anymore. Um, our office manager and center manager and Liz participates in that, but they seem to got it figured out, man. It's a big part of it is matching personalities and putting the right people with the people you already have. That way, there's no conflict and everything flows well as far as conversation and relationships. And yeah, we don't go out and say, all right, we want our staff to be mostly females. It's just kind of the way it worked out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Everything seems to be going good.
Well, I remember, I think that, and you were up here at my property when we were talking about this, and I think I remember telling you, man, employees have been the bane of my existence. Like especially when I had a staff of a bunch of them, and it didn't feel like I thought it would. It was very frustrating, and I was even taking like these leadership classes and how to hire good people and whatnot, and just trying to figure it out. And I had some life events happen where I had to let go of most of my staff, and I went back into this kind of solo. And that's what I'm doing now. And I like it, but it's like that was my biggest problem. It's like when I expand, I'm almost gun shy, or I'm very nervous to bring on new people because of my past experiences.
Yeah. No,
And
man, I can totally see that. One of the biggest mistake that I made when I first started hiring people is I was hiring my friends, and it's impossible to be a leader and a friend at the same time. Once it's personal like that, anytime you need to lay down any disciplinary actions or give any advice, then that stuff becomes personal, and it makes it super hard to manage and be a good boss.
hmm,
So yeah, if I had to give anybody advice on that, the main thing would be don't hire people you're close to. It never went well for me, not one time. Once you have hired people, keep a healthy distance from them. If you get too close, you're just going to find yourself in that situation to where it gets uncomfortable when you do need to be a boss. Um, yeah, yeah, those were lessons that I learned early on.
well, and I get it. And that's one of the things that I tried. I think just I got a little bit too close to my employees, and it was all that much more heartbreaking when I needed
Yeah,
to let them go, man. Like I had 2 rounds of payroll left in the budget, so I knew it was coming, and I let them know, basically have a good life. I can't do this. Like it was unfeasible. It was unsustainable. I was trying to launch into that magazine, right? And then luckily I didn't, because even Dog Fancy magazine, all those other projects became bankrupt based on the innovations in technology and whatnot. Um, but yeah, good tips, dude. Like just keep things professional and keep things that are personal, and neither the twain should meet.
yeah, and even personal between themselves, man. We have a no dating policy that we make everybody sign. Whenever once they become an employee, we've had problems with that where people hook up. But here's
Yeah.
the thing: once you have two people dating, there's a couple things that happen. One, neither of those people can be they can never be promoted above the other one, because once that happens, everybody outside of that relationship is going to see favoritisms, and they're going to complain about that for sure, because there will be, right? They're dating. And then if it doesn't work out, which 95% of the time, probably 99% of the time, it's not going to work out, and they break up, well, you're either going to lose one that may be one, a really good employee, or you're going to lose both, or they're going to stick around, and then it's just bad energy. So there's really never a win-win situation that can come of it. Um, so yeah, we have that, and we have that policy that we're pretty strict on also.
I always told people no.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What were you just saying? Just what?
What's that?
What were
Yeah,
you saying? The last sentence you said?
I was just saying that's just a policy that we're pretty strict with. Just from past experiences, it just doesn't put us in a position to prosper and do well.
Yeah, man. I tell people no fishing off the company pier, dude. Like this is a professional gig, and we don't do that. And I've actually, when I was younger, I had problems with my with doing that as well.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny thing about that is that's where me and Liz met, was at work. Yeah, 25 years ago, I got transferred. I worked for a company called Best Friends Pet Resort. I think they're still in business. They're all over the United States. I was training for them downtown Houston,
No
and
kidding.
I got transferred out to the Woodlands where Liz lived. She worked. It was connected to a vet office. She ran the front desk at the vet, and she used to have to take me my messages upstairs, and that's how we met. Well, I mean, we stayed together and all worked out, but we both lost our job because of it. It didn't go well back then either. So I ended up getting fired um, for not reasons for anything that I did. Just the manager of the place didn't like that I was seeing Liz. she had been wanting to date me for a while, and I kept snubbing her. So then when I started dating someone else at the company, she started giving me a hard time and let me go. And then, of course, since I was let go and me and Liz were still dating, then she was getting heat from her. So she ended up quitting. So even though we stayed together, there was still nothing good that came of it as far as their business went.
Well, and that's just another aspect of how this can go wrong.
Yeah.
Jealousy and Jason, you're a catch, dude. So you gotta.
Yeah.
George is here. He says, "What's up, man?" So what's up, George? George is
What's up,
the
George? I hope you're feeling well.
OG. Yeah, buddy. I hope you are doing good, and I pray for you, and I pray for your family, and I love you, man. And Merry Christmas, buddy. I'd love to talk to you anytime, dude. So, I got the Houston game score. Do you want to know it?
Oh, really? It's over? Yeah. Yeah.
Houston won. Here, let me show
Did
you.
they? Okay, good.
Hold on. Let me present my screen here. I'll do this one for you.
Yeah, it'll be a good week here in town then. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Our team has been in turmoil for the past 2 seasons. Oh, I love it.
Cool.
And our expectations this season, we got a new coach, a new quarterback that have really turned things around. Expectations of making the playoffs weren't even on the radar this season. And the fact that we're in a position where we can actually make the playoffs, this was the deciding game. Like, we really had to win this to stay in that hunt. And that we're actually talking about playoff it's just pretty much incredible compared to where we were at last season. So if you're a football fan in the Houston area, now's a good time to be one.
Fantastic. And you just never know, man. You just never know.
Yeah.
So when did you start? Another aspect of this is I want to talk about the sheep herding, but I also want to talk about the large pack socials. Do you still do those?
We do. Yeah. We do them the first and third of every month. And those are going strong, man. We get a full class every weekend, and people seem to really be enjoying it.
Here's
as always. So
this is from a few years ago. So explain what the large pack socialization is.
So basically, it's getting a big group of dogs. A big group of dogs that are well balanced and very pro-social and thrive with those type of skills. And then you take a dog that's socially awkward and you put them with all those dogs, man. And it's your job to set the environment up for success and to manage the field to keep it as safe as possible. And the dogs that struggle learn from the dogs that are already good at it. And when it works well.
Now, when you do this, so everything's fenced in. I want to show you, see, and then you have everybody coming in on leash with their dog. And It looks like there's a couple hundred people, man. I mean, there's a lot of people there.
Well, back when the day that this was shot, we had 128 dogs.
Okay.
The day that this video was shot. And that's pretty much what I averaged at this time. I don't use this field anymore. And so a big part of being able to get that many dogs is you have to have places for everybody to park. So with the field I use now, I have a field that's big enough plenty to get 100 dogs, but I don't have a parking area that's big enough to park 100 people. So we average probably 60, 65 dogs now on a good day we can fit in there.
Well, and you would actually bring, I want to show you would stop by and grab dogs from the shelter, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. So that was a big part of why I started doing it in the field that you're watching on the screen. Is that's a backfield for a shelter in the area. They put up that fencing so they could keep horses and livestock back there, but they weren't using it for anything. And at that time, I was doing classes on Fridays up there for volunteers where they would get dogs out of the back, and we would teach them leash, manners, and where their feet belong. so they were a little bit more marketable when people came by to adopt a dog. After doing that for several months, they caught wind of my social class that I was doing outside of there, and they asked me if I would move it to the center, and if we could get dogs out during the class. And I jumped all over that quick. I thought it was a great idea, and when we were doing it, yeah, that was my favorite part of it. We found so many dogs homes through that class. What we would do is we put bandanas on the shelter dogs that said "Adopt Me," so they stuck out, and man, we just found so many dogs home. I did the class there for probably about a decade. But at least once a month, if not more, we would get a dog adopted out of that class just from people coming out with their own dog.
And somebody getting along. Yeah. Those
Yeah,
dogs.
and like if they saw their dog playing with another dog on a regular basis, man, that was big. And even if I saw a dog that would play with the same dog on a regular basis, a shelter dog, I'd start poking at the owners. I'd push some buttons. Hey, that, man, your dog's really going to miss that dog when it leaves. It's going to
Yeah.
be super sad, man. I don't know how I'd feel about that, but it ruined my whole week,
Yeah,
just thinking about it. So I'd start pushing buttons and pulling at their heartstrings. And, sometimes I'd call them out in front of the whole class at the end, just put a little pressure on them. But you do it in a good way to make everybody laugh, lighthearted way. But
absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, we don't do it at the shelter anymore. So there's no more shelter dogs. But that was my favorite thing about doing it at that location, is how many dogs we were able to get out of there and into a real home.
Well, and I think that that's a fantastic idea, man. And not only that, but just even for those shelter dogs that are cooped up, man, that gives them an outlet, gives them a steam vent, and makes them more adoptable, even if it's not in that field at that time, that they can come and actually have, kind of a presence about them, that they're not so frantic or anxious about being in that run.
Yeah, well, we would do it on Saturday morning. So most of the traffic going through the shelter to adopt the dog was Saturday and Sundays. So we'd get them out and run them for an hour. And let's say, 2-3 hours later, someone's looking through and they're like, oh, I'd like to spend some personal time with this dog. Well, this dog just ran with 100 dogs, so, when you get them out, you don't have the energy that you would have if they were cooped up all week long and it's their first time getting out of their kennel, and they just put on a much better presentation, for whoever was looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah. First impressions are made in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they get out there and they, it just allows them to look at this dog and consider it longer. And, this to me is like good rescue philosophy, right? We were chatting yesterday with Eloise, and it's gotten to the point, man, where I can't work with a lot of rescues here because of the way that they're ran, and because of just their inability to see the truth and to place good dogs, and to recognize when we have a problematic dog as well. Do you have any rescues that you don't work with, or do you have any words of wisdom for rescues since you've worked with so many?
Get involved with a trainer, and let them help you. They, at that shelter, when I stopped going there is when they put lockdown because of COVID.
Right.
So obviously bringing 100 people out there was frowned upon. So 2 years later, once COVID was gone, they ended up changing management. Their whole board had changed. So when it was time, where I wanted to start my class back up again, they didn't want me to come back. The people in charge that oversaw it at that time didn't like my methods of training. They knew I would use e-collars. They knew I used pinch collars. They found out that I was walking around in a field with a dressage whip in my hand, a riding crop, and they were totally against that. And so I wasn't welcome back, man. Once everything opened back up after the big COVID scare.
It's a shame.
COVID scare. But I'll tell you this, man, they're struggling now. They're struggling. They're kind of at the point they were before they invited me out and I started helping them. their ideologies on how things were to be run and how to help the dogs changed immediately. And so if you do have a rescue and you're looking to better it, play groups, kind of like what Amy Sadler does, are huge, just for the same reasons like you were talking about earlier. Getting them out of their kennel, getting them around a group of dogs, let them experience a good part of life throughout the week and not just being counted up the whole time. Find a trainer that is reputable and knows what they're doing and can efficiently get good results with dogs that don't have a home. Get you a volunteer group together, get them involved with that trainer, and get something in place where you're actually socializing dogs and you're actually training them on a regular basis.
Well, and listen to your trainer too, man. That was one of the things that happened. Now, sometimes the rescue world isn't all rainbows and sunshine, and I've had dogs where I've had to recommend behavioral euthanasia. I've had to have dogs that, I mean, not too many. I can count on one hand, right? It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes we encounter dogs that might not be the best fit and might not be wired in the best way either. What do you when you have to have these hard conversations with the rescue? Do you have anything to say about that?
Man, it's a tough one. I still just having that conversation with a pet owner. That even with someone that has a pet, that conversation is a lot harder than it is with the rescue because someone already has some personal time with the dog. So here's the thing, man. When I first got invited out to that shelter, the manager at the time, no, she wasn't the manager. She was on the board. She was head of the board, and she reached out. She had heard some stuff about me and asked me to come up to the shelter and help them out that they were going under. I had a toddler son, and I was doing everything I could to make sure that I was, keeping my family afloat, paying our bills. All of a sudden, I had to provide a future for this young human being, working a lot. So when they reached out at first, I passed. I was like, I just don't have the time to come help you. And she reached out again. She reached out several times, and I just kept telling her no. Well, she got a hold of Liz's number and got a hold of Liz one day when I was out working.
Smart.
I came home and I walked in, and Liz was like, so and so called me. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. And I was like, yeah, she's been trying to get a hold of me. And Liz is like, you need to go up there. You need to do this. And usually if my wife is pretty adamant about something like that, she's usually right. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right. If you feel like this needs to be done, I'll go up there. So I went up there and I checked out what they had going on. And what they had is they had a whole kennel full of black pit bulls that had been there for a really long time. And they were all so stressed. They were all so miserable. And right away it was obvious. Well, you don't have any marketable dogs. That's the reason why you're not making any money. You got to get marketable dogs in here. You got to get dogs that that people actually want, and that would be somewhat desirable to take home once they meet them. Well, they were like, well, we don't know how to do that. So can you help us? So I said yes. So here's what I did. I went and I got to know all the dogs, everyone there, and I put them in 3 categories. I put them in, all right, this dog we can home. All right, this will be a dog that if we start doing the right things, then I think this will make someone a good family pet. And then I put them in a second category to where at this point, no, not a good dog to adopt out. But if we start doing the right things up here, there's a good chance we can get them to the point where they're marketable. And then I had a third group to where just no way, man, this dog is dangerous. This is the last dog that you want to put in the hands of anybody that's not skilled with a difficult dog. Man, that was a difficult thing to do because once we put the dogs in the group where they weren't marketable, they had to be euthanized. So basically, I was putting them on the death list. Man, it was a hard. It was. I think, man, this went on for like 2 weeks. It was probably the hardest 2 weeks of my life to actually say, "All right, I'm making the decision. You got to die." Um, but they asked for my help. It was the only way to go, so I did it. And they had a cooker on property at the time. So once I made that call, the dog was euthanized right away. It was super tough. So we went through that process. We did what we could with the dogs in the second group. We started socializing them, started doing some training, and there were many that got moved to the adoptable group, but still there were many that we had to have put down. So we ended up getting to a point where we had a bunch of open kennels, or they did. I say we. Once I took on the job, I was part of it. So
Yeah.
so we got to where we had plenty of empty kennels. The few dogs that we had left were marketable, and then all we had to do was fill up the kennels with more marketable dogs. So I taught them how to go to the pounds in the area and pick out the right dogs. I helped them with that. We would go. I'd show them what to look for, how to test them, and eventually, 8 months, 12 months later, we had a whole kennel full of marketable dogs, and they started making money and started thriving, and it turned out really well. But yeah, man, anytime you got to give somebody advice and tell them, you know, this dog probably isn't going to be a good dog with anybody, um, you know, the best option is euthanasia.
Yeah.
You'll get, we'll just keep him here. Well, what kind of life is that? He lives in a kennel. What kind of life is this for a dog? You got to look at quality of life. I know if I had a poor quality of life and I knew that's the way it was going to be and I had no way of changing it, not being around would probably be something that I would look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Just being miserable every day is not a way to live. So,
Well, and we got to realize too is that this is not a permanent solution for these dogs to remain here. Like, and that's what we're not in a mom and pop candy store here, man. We're in the market of moving dogs as a rescue, as a shelter, and we have to realize too that these dogs are chewing through resources that could be better utilized for 10 dogs that don't exhibit these types of characteristics that are essentially a liability. And I agree absolutely with the quality of life too, because guess what? It's just going to make things worse if this dog remains here and starts to get into this cycle of being contained and so I like that. I like that. I got written down here 3 boxes: home, potential, and no way. Right, and so those are the 3 categories. Like we got, this dog is easy to home. This dog has good qualities. This dog is friendly, social, sound temperament. Now, when you would do the temperament testing, that's the other aspect of this too. Is a solid, thorough temperament testing, and also letting the dog telling you the truth and believe in them too, because that's what I would do. That's why I don't work with a lot of rescues, is because I said to them, look, this dog needs to be euthanized. And they said, no way. They told me no way. And I think that that's something like I don't make that decision lightly at all. And I remember one time I had a dog that was a potential dog, and we lost power out here. And I went out to my breaker box with one of the headlamps on, and the dog happened to be tethered right underneath the breaker box. And as I walked up with the headlamp on, the dog went after me. And luckily he was tethered.
Yeah.
But I knew immediately once that happened that he was put into the no way box. Yeah. Right. And I was just, I cried, man. I was like, no, buddy, because we did all this hard work. But I knew right then I had to make the decision that there's no way I could trust this dog in a scenario, because I thought I trusted him, and things just happen in this world that we can't control. Chaos and order is a natural rhythm of the world that we live in, and we can train these dogs, but there's a time where that dog is telling us something that we need to listen to.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree.
Well, and the other aspect that I wrote down here is mom knows, dude. So when Elizabeth comes up, that's what it's like. Both sides of the coin too, man. Like when mom knows that you need to do something, then you need to do it. But same thing too. Like when I go into scenarios and mom has written off the dog, that dog's done. Like it's mom knows best, and we need to listen and respect the ladies in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Now Liz isn't going to ask me to do anything unless she feels really strongly behind it. So no, I'm glad. I'm glad I went out there. I'm glad I participated while I spent my time out there. We don't work with any shelters anymore. Now at the center, we do have rescues that will do evals for free. Sometimes we'll board a dog for free for them, but I'm not as involved in rescues in the area like I was before I opened the center. When it was just me and I was by myself, I participated and helped a lot of rescues. But now, not so much anymore. I just focus on what's going on at the center. And,
Yeah. Well, that's ideal. Todd's here. Hey, Todd, we were talking about you earlier, Mr. MC of the paper plate recall, Dick Russell paper plate races, and we had a video of you on there in 2018 when you were. What was his name, dude? What was your name as MC? I can't remember.
Like Diggly Godfrey or something like that.
What does Liz know?
Oh, Dirk Fellowwood, I think. Dirk Followwood or something like that.
Now that we hear Liz's voice, can she pop her pretty face on there and say hi to everybody? Dirk follow through. That's what it is.
Oh yeah,
there she is. And then we got Liz is the best. So are you, Jason.
Hi, Summer.
Hi, Summer. What am I, Summer? What am chopped liver over here? No. And then Todd says, heck, we are protecting the lives of countless dogs down the road when we make the hard call. When dogs get bad press, it hurts all the dogs. When a person has a bad experience, they may never be kindly disposed towards dogs again.
No, Todd's really good with his words. I'll tell you one thing I got from Todd that I do use on a regular basis.
Todd, Liz says, hold on 1 second. Liz, love you. Todd says, do you still have those creepy yard goblins?
Yeah, we do. Go grab it. So this is something we got from Todd many years ago. And how funny. The goblin's sitting right behind me as we talk. She's grabbing him right now. This thing totally creeps Todd out. There he is. Right.
It's still my
goodness. Oh, wow. And you were saying about Todd, about his words.
Yeah, man. So one thing that I deal with a lot, and here lately, because things come in waves, and I'm going through a big wave right now where people are asking me for help that have a difficult dog, but they also have small children in the house. Man, dealing with that a lot now. A lot of them, the kid's already been bit, which really freaking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you're dealing with somebody that's in that position, because that's one of the hardest positions to be in, right? The way you word things and the way you explain things to people really goes a long way. So one thing I learned from Todd, that if there's a 1% chance that the dog in your house can harm your child, the first thing you need to do is get that dog out of your house.
Amen.
And I never looked at it that way, but it's so true. And that's the best professional advice and personal advice that I give people these days when they come to me with this problem. Just worded that way just makes so much sense to them, just like it made so much sense to me, when I first heard Todd say that. So it's good that he jumped in when he did, because just last week, someone brought me a dog that I evaled. They had small children in the house. One of the kids had already been bit. And of course, no matter what we do at this point, it's all going to be management no matter how much work and time we put in, and management always breaks down.
Yes.
If there's a 1% chance that your child can get hurt again, you can't keep this dog in your house. And then it's like, well, what do I do? What do I do with this dog? Well, the first thing you look at when you go to rehome a dog is how marketable it is. Well, you have a dog that likes to bite kids, for one reason or another, that maybe not like to do it, but has done it in the past. So already, who's going to want that dog? Who wants a dog that's bit a kid in the past? You may find someone that doesn't like kids either, or, is an introvert and not very social. Yeah, they're out there and you may find one. But this particular dog was also dangerous to adults also. It had a couple bites with adult people also. So, you're like, well, what's your advice? Well, if it was me, I wouldn't put this problem in someone else's hands. Like, I wouldn't put this responsibility in someone else's hands, because most likely someone else is going to get hurt. So what's your other option? You have euthanasia, right? And where I go at that point is basically I tell a personal story that I went through in my own life to just let them know that, hey, you're not the only one. It happens to the best of us. We get these dogs, and sometimes we find ourselves in a position that we didn't foresee and we weren't planned to be in. It's not the way we planned this to go. And it happens to the best of us. I had a German Shepherd when I met Liz, and eventually we ended up staying together, and we had our first child. Well, this dog was 8 years old at the time and wasn't raised around children. And man, he was super nervous around our kid, around my son. So it got to the point where it turned into a management situation. When our son was out, the dog was put up. Well, one day the dog was in the side room that our kitchen was connected to, and my son got old enough where he could reach handles and open the door. And me and him were in the kitchen, and he opened the door and let the dog into the kitchen. Luckily, I was right there, and it happened right behind my back, so I was able to scoop up my son, get the dog out. But man, that was a scary experience, man. My heart dropped, my adrenaline went up, and I was just like, man, this dog can't be here no more. Like that was super scary. I just can't keep him. But also, he was a dog that I did a lot of bite work with. He was a German Shepherd, and he was very unstable. This is 20 years ago. I wasn't experienced as I am now, so I did a lot of wrong things when I was training him. I worked him in defense a lot, which made him extremely untrustworthy and very unstable. So I was in a position where I couldn't keep him, but I also couldn't rehome him either. So I had to have him put down. This is a dog that I spent every day of my life with 8 years. It was super hard, a hard thing to go through. So whenever I'm in a position and I'm having to explain to someone that euthanasia is probably the best way to go or is the only way, I always tell them my personal experience, that I've been there before. I know what they're feeling, and it happens to the best of us. But then, it comes back, man, if there's even a 1% chance that your child could get hurt with this dog living with you, you got to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I have a problem when people put kids above dogs, man. And I tell them, look, whenever we have a decision between a dog and a child, you got to be thankful for easy decisions in life, because not every decision's easy. This one's an easy one. It's 100% the kid's welfare 100% of the time. And Todd says, when you get that call from a dog you thought squared away, and they're calling you from a plastic surgeon's office. Right.
So that happened to me also. I can't tell you how many years ago. It's been probably 15 years ago, and this is early on in my career, about halfway through. I didn't know as much as I know now, but someone brought me a dog. They had a 9-year-old daughter, and the dog had snipped at her a few times, growled at her plenty, and asked for my help. I took on the job, and I decided to help him, and things went well. We did private lessons. The dog's obedience was really nice. The girl and the dog worked very well together. Walked away. People were super happy. I was super proud of myself. man, look what I did. I was able to help them. I was able to fix this. Well, 3 months later, I got a phone call. She got bit in the face by the dog severely. Very, very bad bites in the face. She had to have reconstructive surgery multiple times. Man, I was devastated. I almost stopped dog training because of that. I just felt, how could I make this mistake? How could I let them down like this? Luckily, they didn't hold it against me, man. They didn't. And here's the thing: about 3 years ago, the girl that got bit in the face, she's grown now. She's married, and she had her first child. She brought me their first dog to train. So that made me feel really good, because that's something I think about quite often. It pops in my head. Man, I could have prevented this just by saying get rid of the dog. So ever since that experience, when anybody approaches me with a difficult dog, and they have children in the house, I don't take on that job ever anymore after that. I haven't in 15 years. I haven't taken on a job with a difficult dog and children in the house. And basically, I cover everything that I've already talked about. Hey, if there's a 1% chance that, this dog could hurt your kid, you need to get it out of your house. And then if it's a dog that can't be rehomed, then I tell them my personal experiences and what I've been through and how hard it was, and that I've had to make this decision myself. But I tell them why I made the decision, and then I kind of leave it up to them at that point. Now it's up to you to make your call. And if you need anybody to talk to, or you need any more advice, feel free to call me.
Yeah, that's when
But right now, man, I'm going through a wave of this, man. It just seems like at least twice a month, someone's calling me saying, hey, I got this dog and these small children in the house. I don't feel right about it. Hopefully it dies down soon, but I've been having these conversations a lot more than I've wanted to here lately.
There's got to be a lesson there, that keeps on showing up, for some reason. Yeah, COVID isolation. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Todd says the COVID isolation jacked them all up, and that has to be doing something with what's going on. Oh, Duke's here. He's on the ferry on the way home. Duke, I'll be calling you, buddy, or call me when you get home, because Duke and I are going to be doing a Zoom meeting for our Patreon. Actually, that's a good time for me to do this. Patreon is a place that you can subscribe to exclusive content. And if you're interested, I'll put a link in the comments. For as little as $5 a month, you can support me financially with these live streams that I do. It means the world to me. The people that already support me, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for my supporters, Duke and I are going to be doing a Zoom coaching session where he's going to be doing some coaching with me, and then we're doing a breath work session. Duke has gotten certified in this breath work program, and we're going to be having a live event where he talks us through that. So check that out if you guys are interested. Join my Patreon, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bow Wow Bill on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm over 700 now, and I'm almost at 8,000 followers on Facebook as well. So thank you guys very much for being here. And hi. I'm sure he says hi, Jason, but he says hi, Hasten. Maybe that's his pet name for you. When I tell people, whenever dogs, back to our conversation, especially, this is a difficult one, because we love, there we go, he fixed it. We love these dogs. We love these dogs so much that we've traded our lives to work with them and help our fellow people understand them. That's Canadian for Jason Hasten. Stop it. You guys are distracting me. We as professionals have traded our lives to work with these animals, right? And so obviously we love them. But just like Jason was saying about halfway through his career, where he doesn't know as much as he knows now, like you just reach this point, if you're doing this in earnest and trying to really understand these dogs, that you realize that you don't know anything, man, even after working with these dogs for a few years. And I think that's when the knowledge starts really, really taking effect, because we really humble ourselves to a point, and sometimes it has to come in the form of a traumatic experience or something like that it's like, man, what am I doing? Like this, I could have prevented this if I if I made this one suggestion that didn't feel good to me or didn't feel good to anybody, but it's something that needed to happen and eventually happened in the long run. But now we have tragedy in its wake.
Yeah.
And so in the form of somebody getting hurt and changing their life, where I was hired to fix this problem, and because I didn't have the strength to say the uncomfortable thing, the problem got worse, right? And so what I'm saying is that, you know, when we know the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior, that's what we have to realize. Like, we have something happening that we need to pay attention to. And even though we find a situation where a dog is with somebody that doesn't have kids, that doesn't mean that they're not going to encounter kids in their life. There's kids everywhere, man. You know, right, Cal? And so, and the best way to share these experiences is how we've gained knowledge through our own experience, right? And I've had dogs. I was just looking back through here, man, and here's this was from 2013, so 10 years ago. I'm going to share my screen of an update that I did 20 years ago, and this is Don just got the tractor here. But it looks like, man, like put down a dog yesterday, questioning my profession today. Why does it have to be so damn hard? Toby, I love you. I'll see you again on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. And so this was 10 years ago. And it's something that I think just happens to us as professionals, that we're confronted with some harsh realities in a way that is so heavy that it makes people quit this shit, you know. And that's why we have to persevere. But that's why another reason why I do these talks is because if somebody can gain knowledge from my experience or your experience, Jason, right, then it's doing more work, more benefit in this world. And I call it borrowing scars, man. When you gain experience from somebody else's trauma or somebody else's experience, that you don't have to make that same mistake, you're borrowing their scar. That's why we're here. And at the end of the day, this is why people are paying us to fix a problem. But sometimes the solution to the problem is brutal. You know, that's the only way I can really put it. Summer says we can only do so much. Not all dogs can be saved. Not all people can give proper management. And that's the other aspect of this, is like management. What I tell people is management is only as good as its first failure, and it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It 100% of the time will fail. It's the best decision for the dog in the situation. It sucks. And there's no other way to put that.
That's a big part of my Lifesaver seminar. And that's a seminar where I go around and I teach people how to do the large field social. I make sure that I tell them almost every mistake that I've made, and what the mistake was and how I fixed it. That way they don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, and that's why I do shadows. That's why I work with people that are new, and that's one of the first questions that I had, that new and or people that are thinking about getting into the dog world, right, is telling them the truth about this stuff. Like, and especially the people that are wearing their heart on the sleeve, are trying to save every single dog, are out there working with all these rescues, and they have the adopt don't shop mentality, I call it.
Yeah.
Right, where they don't understand that there is value in finding a good breeder. There is value in people that do proper temperament testing. There is value in that not every dog's the same, man. And sometimes, just like I was saying about the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. Well, there's a saying that those that don't know the history are doomed to repeat it. And if you don't know the history of this dog, and they're in there for a bad behavior, they're doomed to repeat that again. And And that's where, like, I was talking to dogspite.org founder Colleen, and she has all these stats on all these crazy dogs, and it's mostly pit bulls that she has issues with on that website. But it's also that's a cow in the background, in case anybody wants to know. She's a pushy cow that Jason's sitting
Man,
outside.
she sees me sitting here, man. She wants some cow cookies. I keep them up here on the porch, man. She sees me sitting here. She's like, "What's up, man? haven't you heard?"
Be like, dude, I'm over here yelling at you. But what was I saying about the dog's bite? She wants to make it mandatory that if a dog has a bite on its record, that it has to be listed in rescue. And they're starting to do that in California. They're starting to do that in different. What do you think about that, Jason? If a dog has...
I agree. It's funny, man. When I used to do a lot of rescues, there were many times. There's many times where I would try to help them with a dog, and I would give them the advice: don't adopt this dog out. It's a bad idea. This dog's a dangerous dog. And you find out a few weeks later that this dog has been put in someone's house, man.
Yeah, that's why I don't work with rescues anymore.
They just don't get it. And
they think they know what's best.
There's been several times where they've done this and people have gotten bit immediately. And yeah, man, they think with their hearts and not with their head. You know, the best shelters I worked with, the people that ran it were business people. They weren't dog people. And they all just seemed to run so smoothly because they thought with their brain and not their heart. They made the best decisions. When you get someone that's running an establishment like that and they follow their heart with everything that they do, mistakes are going to be made and people are going to get hurt. So yeah, that's another good advice, man. If you're involved with a rescue or something like that, with my past experience, if someone that was in charge was a business person and not a dog person, which has happened on a couple different occasions, not many, but twice, man, these places seem to run very well. And any advice that I gave them, they took.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yeah. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll make sure that happens. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes they make it hard, man.
Well, and listen to your trainers, man. If you have somebody that's a professional that knows this and has the eyes, ears to see this, and you're coming in there because you love dogs, you're not going to be making a rational decision because, just like you're saying, you're trying to think with your emotions. And guess what, folks? You can't think with your emotions, okay? And it makes sense to me that a business person would make rational decisions because a lot of times in business, you're hiring a consultant, to get you bridge a gap or get you from one place that you are to a place that you want to be. And what are we? We're essentially consultants as trainers. We're being brought in to consult them on the particular behavior of these animals that they might not know. And so they're hiring these people to accelerate, not necessarily their learning process, but to do that decision making for them. And so they're used to delegating out to consultants various ways. And so when they bring in a trainer, to me, that's just another consultant and they're paying for this trainer. And so they're like, yeah, it would make sense that you are the professional. I need to listen to you. And so I agree with you, man, that they recognize your role. And that's what I encourage other people. If you're in the rescue world and you have a trainer that's sounding the alarm about a dog, listen to them.
Yeah.
So many trainers are taking on human aggression too. Yep. And as a new trainer, stay in your lane, man.
Yeah.
And if there's something that you don't know how to do, I mean, that's the importance of having people as mentors or having a network of people to tap into. And one of the reasons I stopped doing these live streams for a little bit when my life got a little hectic, and then I had a trainer that came to me to learn from me for a day. Her name is Gina. And I said, how are you gaining your knowledge? And she said, every single person that you've had on your live stream, I've followed up with and I've learned from them. And so I was like, oh man, I need to do these live streams some more because we know trainers and we network with other trainers as well. And it's something that, we can find out who's a good trainer and who's full of marketing and buzzwords. I would hope so, as a professional, like real recognizes real. And so, keep that in mind as well, that as we cooperate and communicate with each other, hopefully at the end of the day, we're all in this for the dogs.
Yeah, and congratulations on your live stream, man. It's super popular. I had no idea, man. You're like world famous now. When you asked me I haven't been on social media in a really long time, many years. So I really don't know who's doing what anymore, unless I do a personal phone call or I see them at conference. So I did some investigating. Liz was like, well, you need to check him out, man. He does these live streams all the time. You need to check it out. So I went on there and I was like, oh yeah, she was showing me. So congratulations, man. It seems to be super popular, and obviously people are getting a lot out of it. And so
yeah, I love it. And if you gain anything from this, then I've done my job, man. And that's where I'm doing this for the dogs as well, dude. And Joe Rogan's my inspiration, dude. Just watching him grow, and I watched his podcast for a very long time. And it's just this free flowing conversation that we have about something that we're both passionate about and something that we've traded our lives to do. And so might as well, it's just good to catch up with you anyway, because I respect and love you as a person and you're my friend. And so might as well record this conversation for anybody that's out there that might gain some of pearl of wisdom from it. So, it's, and I've always told people your network is your net worth, right? And so have a good network, communicate, cooperate. We have a problem in the world today with dangerous dogs, with dogs that are being euthanized that shouldn't be euthanized, and dogs that aren't euthanized that need to be euthanized. And people have a hard time hearing that.
Yeah.
But that's another aspect of this that we need to talk about, have tough conversations. And it doesn't feel good. But my dad always told me, son, doing what's right doesn't always feel good.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. Definitely. Do you do a podcast also? Or you just do the live stuff?
Just do the live stuff. But this can be double as a podcast. And I have it listed as a podcast on YouTube in a playlist, so people can access it that way. But I should put it on Spotify or something like as a podcast. And
I like the live. I like the live better, man, because anybody can take something recorded and they can modify it to what they want it to look like. This is more like a real conversation, man. What you get's what you get. You can't change it. It's already out there.
Yeah, I don't edit this one bit, man.
Yeah, well, there's no way you can, man. People are watching you anyway.
Yeah, right now. No. Then we could talk about space time and how that works. And no, just kidding. I want to talk to you about sheep herding, dude. So why sheep herding, and what got your interest peaked about that, and what are you doing in the sheep herding world now?
All right, so I got turned on to it 10 years ago. Thank you, Herman. My dog had died. I had a boxer named Bruiser. People like Summer, people like Todd, they're going to remember that dog most likely, because I took him to all conferences and everywhere I went. Well, he got old, heart got bad, and I ended up having to have him put down. And I wanted a new dog, and I wanted to change, man. So I decided to go the route of a border collie. So I reached out to Cindy Duan, and she used to have a dog named Riff. A lot of y'all may know about him. He was a super awesome dog. He was pretty much successful at everything he did. He always made it to the top of his game at everything that Cindy did with him, whether it was agility, whether it was dock diving, whether it was herding. So I reached out to Cindy and I was like, man, I want one of Riff's puppies, man. Can you help me out? And she was like, well, Riff doesn't have any puppies on the ground. But he's got a nephew or a grandson. I think it was his grandson, that, his son just put out some puppies if you want one of those. And I was like, well, that's close enough to me. She was
Frank Sinatra?
Huh?
Was it Frank Sinatra or who was
it? No. Well, so Frank he's the father of the dog that I compete with now.
Okay.
So Squeeze is her name. So Frank is Frank Frank is her dad. All right, the dog I have now. But Riff, I think, is Frank's dad.
Okay.
But this dog, so it was on a farm is where these puppies were born in South Carolina. So I drove to Georgia, stayed with Cindy. We drove to where the puppy was, and when I got there, I got to meet my puppy. I already picked out. I think it was the last one left in the litter. So I got to meet my puppy, but they had a herding clinic going on at that time. So I went over and I watched a little bit of the clinic on the day I was there. It was on a Wednesday, I believe. And I really liked it, man. I was like, well, this is super cool. So when we got back to Cindy's house in Georgia, I was like, can we go back tomorrow? I want to watch more. She was like, yeah, we can go back. It was about a 2-hour drive. So I ended up watching the clinic. There's Flank. Yeah, it's Flank Sinatra. That's him right there.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back every day, and after the clinic, they had a trial that was going on. So I ended up staying, and I watched the trial, and the father of my pup I just got won the whole thing. So all of a sudden, I have this new puppy that has the genetics to be really good at this herding thing. I was like, man, I really enjoyed watching that. I need to do something with this dog. So I found a herding trainer in the area, and I went and spent time with her. And man, I've been addicted ever since. I can't get enough of it. And that was also a big part of me starting to hire people around that time, because I realized in order to have time to practice, because it's a lot of work, man, to get a herding dog to a certain level where you can trial and compete at a high level takes a lot of time. It takes a ton of time, so much time. I guess just with anything else, when you're competing with your dog at a high level, it's going to take a lot of time. You got to put in a lot of commitment. I realized that I got to start hiring people in order to have free time to do more of this. So another big reason why the center's here and all that is just to put me in the position where I'm at now, where I can
leverage your time,
put in the time with my own dogs and get to the level where I want to be, as far as competing and trialing and make a name for myself in that way. This is going to go work on Herman. I just heard her go back there.
Okay. I mean, it's fine. I don't mind it. I think it's actually very endearing.
Maybe going into heat also. She goes into heat once a month where she just wails like that for 24 hours.
Interesting.
So it's been about a month. It may be that time.
Also. Okay. I've always had an affinity for cows, dude. And watching my working dogs work cows. That's how I really got a passion for dogs. And man, it's been argued that we wouldn't be where we are as a civilization, as human beings, without the help of our four-legged friends, because they have taken us from a nomadic existence to a horticultural pastoral by doing the herding for us, right? Because now we can manage large herds of livestock and then have one or two dogs. Like, how many sheep can one dog handle, do you think?
Oh, hundreds, man.
Yeah, see, isn't that wild?
For sure, man. Yeah, for sure. Man, you can watch videos from like Scotland and Ireland where they have these big paddocks of hundreds of sheep, and you don't even see them. Like, they're somewhere on the property, and the handler or the shepherd, whatever you want to call it, can just walk up to the gate, tell their dog to go get them up and bring them. The dog disappears 15, 20, 30 minutes, and all of a sudden over the hill, you just see a big crowd of sheep starting to come over and bring them. Not even with the shepherd there to give them any guidance, man. They just know to go find them. They'll be somewhere out there. If I look hard enough, I'm going to pick them up, and I know to bring them back to where I started. So yeah, a lot, man. One dog can handle a lot of sheep. And here's the thing: when you mention that, a big group of sheep is easier for a dog to handle than a small group of sheep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here, I just pulled up Sean the sheep man here, and he looks like he's got a GoPro on his dog, dude. It's so awesome. And so when you started the herding, talk to me about it. So did you start like with ducks? How does the process go I mean, first off, you got a world champion, so that's cool, right? But then, so you know,
Yeah, genetics is important. Yeah.
say that again. Genetics is important. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It plays a big part. It doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, you can get you a pup from a litter where the mom and dad are just totally kicking ass at what they do, but that doesn't mean your puppy's going to do it either. But genetics is a good place to start. That's where you want to start, is making sure that you have the genetics in your puppy. And then it just comes down to, you know, the way you raise it and the training you do with it to take it to its full potential. But no, I've only done sheep. I've never put my dogs on ducks before. I've put them on goats. Goats and sheep, they herd similar to each other. Goats they're a lot heavier. And what I mean by heavier, you can have a light group of stock, you can have a heavy group of stock, or you can have in between. Heavy means the dog has to put a lot of pressure on the dog to get him to move. It has to have a lot of presence in order to get them moving. A light group of stock would be just very little pressure and they're going to start moving. They might even start running. So everything herds a little bit different. You get advice. I've taken lessons from many different people, and just like with pet dogs, everybody's going to have their own opinion, and it's going to be a little bit different. But someone told me once, you know, when I was starting out, that if you're going to do sheep, you should start with sheep because they herd differently. You'll have a better dog for it. But man, now that I'm many years in, I think a lot differently, and my goals are different now too. You know, I don't know how long I'll be trialing. I like the trialing. I like the competition. I like the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. I like getting out there and meeting people that enjoy doing what I do. It's really a nice community, the herding community. But now I'm more into looking ahead to where me and Liz are most likely going to have a lot of stock animals. We just seem to get more the older we get. So eventually, my main goal is to have a dog that can help me put up my chickens, help me put up my ducks, help me put up my cows, you know, and my bulls, help me put up my sheep, that can do everything. So they have these dogs that are called ultimate stock dogs. And these are the dogs that compete at the highest level at sheep and at cows. And that's my goal now, man. I want an ultimate stock dog. The Liz's new puppy. Liz just got a really nice pup, and we went to watch her pup's dad compete in the end of year national championship in Wyoming a few months ago, which is cow herding. He was ranked 9th in the country, and in that trial he finished 3rd. So now he's ranked 3rd in the country as far as stock dogs and herding cows. But that was my first time I actually got my eye on some good cow herding dogs.
Oh, there's nothing else, man.
It's a different world, man. Herding cows is much different than herding sheep for many different reasons, and we can get into that if you want.
Sure, I do.
Man, I was really amazed, man, with the cow herding stuff. So one of our goals with her pup is to get it on cows super early. And she is very excited of maybe having the chance to compete at herding cows as well as sheep. So that's our goal, is to do both with him.
Well, and so when we look at the average size and of the cow, we're looking at 1,600 to 2,200 pounds, right? And so how much do you weigh, Jay?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm about 200 even.
Yeah, so that's 10
After dinner, about 210.
Dude, I'm up there, man. I'm about 220 right now, 215. Isn't that crazy? The heaviest I've ever been. I quit smoking weed, and then, dude, I either like just replace my addiction with food, or I don't know what's going on.
Smoking weed, now you have the constant munchies, man.
Yeah, totally. But you know, and even chickens, like we look at chicken. Do you remember my chickens? Remember hypnotizing my chickens for you?
You keep them anymore?
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
You inspired my daughter to get chickens, man. We got a bucket full of them that run around here, man. But yeah, no. Whenever we left your place, she had to have some freaking chicken.
You're not the first one, dude. I just mess with animals, dude. Like I have to get to know them. I watch them like I just am very interested in them, dude. They're super cool. What motivates them? What makes them tick? How to communicate with them? How to make them happy? Right? And even fish, dude. I got fish, chickens, cats. I mean, I've worked with cows. I've worked with sheep. I've worked with goats. Um, excuse me. And each one of them has their unique. They're just unique in their own way. And like you were talking about a hard dog, or what do you call it with the larger the herding dogs? What were you saying? Versus like when the dog is a little bit more harder and has to stare and work them a little bit more.
Presence of the dog. So the stare is called the eye, and you have two types of herding dogs. You have a loose-eyed, all right, and then you have a hard-eyed dog. So whenever you see a border collie and they're crouched down really low and they got their eye fixated on the dog, that's called the eye. All right, and that's where your presence comes from when it comes from the dog. So one of the things you're looking for when you do want a good dog is their presence when it comes to sheep, for sure. Because with sheep herding, if you're competing in a trial and your dog grips a sheep, meaning it puts its teeth on them, you're automatically disqualified.
Okay.
So when you're herding sheep, well, your dog in sheep herding, your dog is allowed to protect itself. So if you have a ewe or a ram that charges your dog to cause it bad bodily harm or injure it, they are allowed to defend themselves. So they can grip at that time and use their teeth. But anything outside of that is immediate disqualification.
Interesting.
So
And
when it comes to herding sheep, presence is very important because since they can't use their mouth, when you have a difficult sheep or ram and the dog needs to move them, they need to have a very strong presence. They need to have that stare and just that energy where the sheep eventually go, this guy freaking needs business and he's not going to give up. We should start moving. All right. Now with cow herding, the dogs can bite the cows at any time.
That's exactly what like they're bred for. That's what people like when people have these cattle dogs, man. And I have had cattle dogs, but that I remember watching as a kid, dude, watching these dogs work with we had 2,500 head of cattle in South Idaho, and we had about 8 to 10 dogs at the time. And man, these dogs, I watched this dog run up to a cow, nail his hock, and then the cow kicked him, and this dog goes just flying away, hits the ground, zip right back to that cow's hock, dude. Like it was nothing, man. And that's when I was like, man, these dogs are the toughest things I've ever seen, man. That's like leather, man. It's something else. But go ahead, sorry.
No, that's a good observation. So that's a big difference, So sheep herding is more precision. Like whenever you compete, when you sheep herd, you're judged on several things. One of them is it's called the line. So you have a line from each obstacle, and the judges are paying close attention on how much your group of sheep get off that line. And the more they get offline, the more points that you lose. Now, in herding cows, there is no line. So it's more of brute force, aggression, and as far as running your obstacle course. So it's more with cow herding, it's more of making sure you hit every obstacle, and they're usually timed. Not all of them, but most of them, it's hitting every obstacle, and it's a timed event. So you hit all your obstacles, and then at the end, they go by how long it took you to do it, and that's where you place at the end. With sheep herding, a lot of it is control of your dog, making sure that you're following your lines. Of course, hitting your obstacles plays a big part, but you can run your course without hitting every obstacle. So if you don't hit every obstacle when you're herding cows, your course isn't completed and you get no score. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're using a dog to herd sheep, it's more of a precision type of sport. You have to have more control over your dog to have more control over your stock, so everything runs at a certain pace along straighter lines.
It's so wild. And it's like, I mean, this is something that is a totally different world, right? And it's pretty deep on here. Let me see if I can find one. Billy working cattle on a trial course. Here, let me see. So we can see this is working cows here. Now the obstacles are the gates that are set up in the field, like walking the dog through the gate. Do they walk a dog around a gate, or what is the obstacles?
No, you steer your stock with the dog. You steer your dog, and your dog steers the stock. So the stock are the ones that have to go through the obstacles, not the dog.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But see, we got a hard stare dog on some cows. Now, we never had any collies. We had cattle dogs. Wait, did we have a collie? No, we didn't. We had mixes. I mean, we didn't. I don't think we had any border collies here, but we definitely had cattle dogs and just mixed dogs. Okay, so we got him into that little corridor there, and then we have the guy that's on the horse, and that's the guy that I assume is talking to that dog and controlling that animal.
Yeah, so that's one thing that you can do with cows is you can also you can do trials where you're horseback and you do your course, which I think is super freaking cool. Like, how awesome would that be to be on horseback and then work your dog and do a trial? I think that'd be super fun. And it's another thing about herding cows is you can walk through the whole course while you do this stuff. When you herd sheep, you're at a post and you can't leave your post, all right, while your dog works the course. So that's another difference also.
I mean, they both have their benefits and their drawbacks, right? Because now, and when you're talking to the animal, are you giving them verbal commands? Or are you whistles? We did whistles and sounds, and the dog knows the difference. I remember, like, when we wanted a dog to go and to get on a cow, we would go, and then when we wanted them to back off, we would shh. And they know the difference in the noises. Like, that's how. And when I first saw Caesar, and a lot of people make fun of him, but when he was doing that, with the snap, like, it made sense to me because that's how we talk to our dogs in the field, right? And so, like, I was like, who is this guy and what's he doing and why is he using that sound with these dogs? Because we've used that sound as well. So do they command them? How do they move their dog around?
All right, so you can do it with your voice, or you can do it with a whistle. Dogs respond to the whistle better, just like a clicker. There's no emotional attachment, so it's the same way every time. So there's no confusion. But usually the way it goes most is you start off with verbal on teaching them. And once they know their verbal commands, then you switch them over to a whistle after that. But one of the teachers that I learned from, her name's Michelle McGuire. She used to be here in Texas, but she moved to New Mexico a few months ago. She's one of my favorite teachers, man. The way she liked to do it is she would start the dogs off with noises, no words, because she said they'll respond better. All right, because just like as we said, your noises are going to be more consistent than they are your verbal commands. So she starts her dogs off on noises. Once they get to a certain point, then she starts adding in audio cues, all right, words for the commands, and then she puts a whistle after that. So there's a number of ways you can do it. There's some trainers that start their dog off on a whistle right from the beginning. Right from the get-go, it's all whistles. So I guess it's a choice, just like with anything else. Well, so the dog that I have now, I can give it audio cues very easily without saying anything. I can shift my body, I can rotate my head certain ways, I can pat my hip, and I can totally work my dog just with body cues. Or I can use audio cues. I can use the verbal commands, or I can use a whistle. Any of those things, and I can kind of work my dog. Now, as far as using body cues, the only way you can use those is if you're in front of your dog, right? Because once you get to the point where you can drive cattle or sheep and you're pushing them away, your dog can't see you because its back's to you or it's looking to the left or right of you in one of those directions. So obviously you couldn't use body cues. But man, I was thinking about this the other day, man. When you got a good dog, a good border collie at this stuff, and border collies are the Ferrari of this sport. They are. If you really want to compete at a high level, that's the breed of dog that you get. It really is. Don't even bother with anything else. I mean, there's a ton of dogs out there that are good for chore dogs and around the farm, which are super fine. But if you're looking into competing in competition, get you a border collie. And, start out with the best out there. But man, the dog I work now, Squeeze is her name. I could probably teach her 5 different whistles for every command, and she would learn them. Like she would figure it out. She would know all 5 if I put in the time. It's just amazing how their brain works and how they retain stuff. It's nuts.
Can you give me an example of a command whistle?
I don't have my whistle on me.
It's a particular whistle, huh? So you don't.
Yeah. It's a whistle. I can't whistle that well with my mouth. I had my my wisdom teeth pulled, and once they were pulled, somehow the airflow in my mouth doesn't flow like it, so I can't. I was really good at that when I was young, but as soon as I had both my wisdom pulled, something doesn't blow like it used to.
I do whistles even now.
I could grab my whistle and give you all my commands if you wanted to hear them.
What's that? You have the.
I could grab my whistle real quick.
Yeah, grab it real quick if you don't mind. Let's get into this, and I'll do a whistle that I do with my dogs. See if they perk up here. This is what it looks like. Ready? Here they come. So that means that we're going inside when I'm out in the field when I do that whistle.
What's your call whistle?
It goes.
That's pretty common.
Yeah. That's common. What I learned. I learned it in when I was working those cows. Oh, my wife is the dogs are all banging on the door out here. That's hilarious. And I have 2 dogs in here, and they're like, "Let's go, man! We're going outside." And then Liz says that her dog's name is Swiper. I think she commented. Yep, Swiper. So yeah, let's hear this. And then I also want to talk about the commands too. So
let me scoot back. It's pretty loud. So
let me see that whistle. Let me see that thing real quick.
It's just a shepherd's whistle.
I've never seen that, dude. A shepherd's whistle.
Yeah, you can hit more pitches with this type of whistle than any other whistle.
Okay, let's hear it.
Whistle. So it's a lot different than like a gun dog whistle or anything like that, where you only have to have a few pitches in order to guide the dog along. But there's so here's an example. So if I was sending a dog clockwise, which would be
come by.
Yeah. If I wanted my dog to, if I wanted her to know that we were going to do a really big come by, it would be like that.
No kidding.
Now, if I was going to send her on a short come by, I can shorten that to. When she hears that, she knows she's not going to have to go as far because there wasn't the last pitch at the end. All right. So if I wanted to send my dog away to me, which would be counterclockwise, we're looking at. But and that would be a long away to me. That if I do it that way, she knows she's going to go really far before I stop her or lay her down. But if I want to let her know it's just going to be a short flank and we're going to be turning into the sheep soon or stopping, then I just kind of go. And then just the beginning of that command, and she knows she's not going to have to go as far. So all your speed controls, you want that to start at the same pitch. So the dog knows when it hears that first pitch, it's going to have to do something with the speed of the dog. So if I want the dog to lie down, all right, I start with the highest pitch I can do, and it sounds like this. Hold on. Like that. So the highest pitch means you're going to actually stop. It's got a highest pitch with a tail at the end. That means you're going to have to stop.
Okay.
So that's a speed whistle. Now, if I want my dog to walk up, all right, that means it's at a still and we're going to start moving. Then it's two of those high pitches. That means walk up. All right. And another speed whistle is a steady, a slow down. So that's just a long drawn out high pitch, which would be. And that means if you're going fast, now you need to slow down. So when you're teaching your dog the whistles, anything that's going to vary the speed, whether it's stop, go, slow down, speed up, you want that to start at the same pitch. So the dog knows it's going to have something to do with speed and not changing direction.
Now, what about look back?
Look back.
Or I mean, that would be take time. Let's talk about the commands here real quick. So we got lie down, which we talked about. We got come by, which is a clockwise,
Yeah.
away to me,
Yeah.
Which is anti-clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Like counterclockwise, away to me.
Away. Yeah.
Get back or get out. They're too close. That means to that wouldn't be a slow down. That would be get back.
Yeah. So if I want my dog to look back, let's say there's some sheep that she didn't pick up and I want her to look back, then I do two of my low to be look back. It kind of sounds like look back.
Yeah,
she'll look back, and if there's anything back there, then I can flank her on which way I want him to gather them, which would be come by, or I can away her to pick them up counterclockwise, which would be, and then she'll go pick them up that way.
So cool, man. And then get up, and that's a walk on, find. Do you have a bark? Do you have a bark whistle?
I don't. No, I never want the dogs to bark.
Okay.
Yeah. I could see that being beneficial. Just no one does it, right? Like just put a little extra pressure, bark at it. They're not moving, put some noise. But I've never seen anybody do that. Maybe like Australian Shepherd people, like their dogs bark. Australian Shepherds, they'll bark a lot while they're herding.
Yeah, that's what we had. We had Australian Shepherds and Australian Shepherd with cattle dogs is what we had at the cow ranch that I worked at.
So yeah, man. And a lot of people have different whistles. They do. And if you have multiple dogs, like let's say you have 4 dogs and you want to work off 4, every dog needs their own whistle.
No way.
And they'll learn them. It's crazy, man. So you can sit there and control all 4 dogs, but they all need to have a different system of whistles. That way they know when you're talking to them and you're guiding them and not the other dogs.
What else is there? There's hold, right?
Like a stop, it'd be a stand. I guess a stand would be a hold.
Yeah, stay where they are. Stay where you are.
Up, you can have them. I just lie my dogs down.
Okay.
My dog doesn't have a stand.
What about that'll do?
That'll do is kind of as close to yours. Like that.
That's mine.
Just kind of go, whoa, 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 and then she knows to come back.
Yeah, it's like a nice release, and you can see them, man. They recognize it right away. And I put up a link, you guys, up on Amazon. That's a little bit more Logan A1 sheep whistle or shepherd whistle, excuse me. It has a leather lanyard and a little carry-on pouch. But you can get them for like $2 or $3, but all the way up to like $50 for these whistles. That's pretty cool, man. Like we would do sounds, right? But it would end whistles with our mouth. We never had a whistle that we would actually have. We would just do the whistles of like when we were wanting to get on them, like I was saying, it would be and really like kind of have the enthusiasm be conveyed in the volume of our sound that we would do. But it's so crazy, man. Like this is something that I can tell that I kind of want to get into as well. And I don't have any livestock here, and but who knows, man? Someday. And then I've actually been approached by some people in the Napopo school that want to get into the livestock. So who do you recommend people go to if they want to learn this stuff? Is it just basically regional with somebody in your area? Because
It
you
would
actually,
be, yeah. Man, there's a lot of good trainers in Texas. Um,
is there a site that people can go to find teachers if they want to get into stockyard work?
I'm not really sure, man. We have our Texas Sheep Herding Association here, where you could always go on and ask them, hey, I want to take lessons.
Mountain stock dog where we went.
Yeah, you got mountain stock dogs too. It wouldn't be hard to find, but man, good stock dog trainers are everywhere from what I'm finding out. They really are. You can find one if you just do a little bit of research, but it's going to be to what area you're in. There's associations and groups in different parts of the United States to where you're at. So you just have to find one that's close to you. Yeah, that we just want. That's the association we went and watched the finals at, where Liz's the dad of her dog was competing.
Very cool.
It was a nice event, man. Ashton, Wyoming. I don't know if you've ever been, man, but a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, Wyoming's beautiful.
Part of America. Yeah.
Except when you're driving through it, then you just want to name it Y. That's what I say, because it's so well. Same with Texas, dude. I couldn't believe I was driving through Texas, and we went from Brownsville, Texas, and I think we went up to Amarillo, and it was like 12 hours or something. Like we were still in Texas, and we drove 12 hours, and I just was like, man, how big is this place?
It's huge.
Right on. And then, cool, man. This is great. So, how many dogs do you have now? Personal dogs.
We have 5.
Okay.
We have our 2 border collies. We have a miniature dachshund that's about to turn 20 years old.
My goodness.
Her name's LaFonda. She's doing good, man. Her nose works just fine. All her legs and everything, all her organs are functioning properly, but she can't see or hear that well anymore. So we got to be real careful with her. And then we have I believe he's about 11 or 12, half pit bull, half lab. He's our only rescue dog. We got him from a shelter in the area. His name's Count Blackula. And then we have a pug that is a year and probably 2 months, and her name's Fish Kicker. And she is definitely the one that keeps us smiling all day long. She's super funny, man. She's freaking.
Pugs.
I had no idea I could fall in love with a pug as much as I've fallen in love with this dog, man. She's something else, man. She's got a great personality, good heart, good soul. And she's just super funny, man. And she's brave, dude. She's super brave. She plays with Liz's border collie. And so when we got Liz's border collie, they were the same size, right? Because the border collie was 2 months old. Well, now the border collie is 20 times her size. But just to watch her wrestle with this dog and watch them play, it's just super funny, because she still steals the show, man. She'll have the border collie on its back and have a mouthful of collar, shaking it, standing up, shaking. And it's just so funny, man. She thinks she's such a tough little dog. It's so funny.
Very cool, man. Well, those pugs, dude. I have one that has changed my opinion on pugs. I mean, his name is Sid, and cool guy, man. Cool guy. There's Barbara. It was Nelson too.
Okay.
Good.
All right. What's happening, Nelson?
Yeah. How far are you away from Nelson?
About 5 hours, 4.5 hours. Man, all my best friends in the world are popping up here.
That's what I tell you, man. This is great. This is the thing is that with these live streams, man, like I am so honored of the actual people that watch them. To me, it's not. There's Krista too. What's up, Krista? My birthday sister. We have
I got lost with all these people that have popped up are like family to me. Every single one of them, man.
That's what's so cool about this, is that the people.
I could go through here and I could pick out something I've learned from all of them that have helped me in life and my dog training.
let's do what Nelson first. What about Nelson? I'll go too.
So Nelson, man, it's man, what he's taught me more than anything is to have honor, and respect. It's the foundation for everything that he is. And he also taught me that I'm not the busiest man in the business, man. I'm not the hardest worker. This guy he does so many things.
He's a race car driver. He's an architect.
I remember when I was on Facebook, he threw a picture up and he was actually on a tarmac directing airplanes. I was like, how'd you even get out there, man? What are you even doing? Yeah, I mean, I love Nelson to death, man. He's a good guy. He's someone that I would trust with anything in life, family, kids, property. I know he'd have my best interest at heart and do the right thing.
Yeah, no kidding, man. And it's like, and one of the sayings that he just put up is like, you are not the beginning nor the end. We are passing through this life, and the universe will exist with or without our physical presence. Be humble, be kind. If you wish to be remembered beyond your own lifetime, make it because you are a good example for others to follow for good. And that right there encompasses who this guy is, and
Yeah.
and I highly recommend, if you're seeing this and you don't know who Nelson Hodges is, find out, because he's my mentor. It is something that I am honored to call friend, and he's taught me a bunch about integrity. Dogs. I've had him out here for a couple seminars, and I've actually, I need to do another live stream with him. I've done a few of them, and we need to catch up again, Nelson. But yeah, he's just an all around good guy, and the way that that's enough. You guys embarrassing me. Good. The way that him and my wife get along too, man. That's something that really has endeared me to him. Is she just she's, like I said, when the woman knows somebody's a good person, and they're a good person, and she thinks the world of Nelson. I'm gonna go.
It's never too late to become an honorable person.
That's right, and every day is our opportunity to live that. So, what did I interrupt you? Sorry, dude.
No, you didn't interrupt me. We're good.
Barbara, what about Barbara? We'll go through like 3 or 4 of these people.
So Barbara, so many things. She's like family. We spend a lot of time with Barbara. Her and my wife are best friends, so she's way more than a friend. But one thing she taught me more than anything, it doesn't matter how you train dogs and what your method is, and the things that you are teaching your customers and how you do it, that we can all get along. And one thing that we can agree on is that if you're doing it the right way and people are pleased to the way that you're doing it and your customers are happy, then you're doing the right thing. And there's no reason why there should be any conflict in styles or methodologies, as long as everybody's fair to the dog and everybody's helping their community.
That conference that we went to in Austin, when it was Triple Crown, before Star Mark bought that place, I remember her Rottweiler laying on his back, and she was just stroking his little chin with her finger. And then I was just like, I just remember watching her with this dog, and this dog was just in ecstasy with her just petting his little chin there.
Yeah, she loves Rottweilers. That's her thing.
All right.
So here's the thing with Barbara. She grew up around animals, and she was asked by her dad and people around her to handle some of these large animals. Well, she's a small person. She is. She's not. I mean, she stands up.
She's got a good laugh.
Knee high on a cricket. She's not.
Knee high on a cricket.
She'd look at me. She'd give me a look if she was here, and I said that. But she had to figure out a way to handle all these large animals and not do it in a forceful manner. And she had no one to guide her do it, so she had to figure it out on her own. And it put her in a position where she learned how to communicate with animals in a way that most people didn't think could be possible.
necessity is the mother of invention, man. Like when you need to do it and you're knee high to a cricket with a powerful dog, you know, it kind of forces your hand. But I agree, man.
Now, as I looked down at Barbara, I looked up to her. You know, all
She
the time.
says, "Thank you. I'm not short. You're tall. You do have a point there. I think you look down on a lot of people there." But yeah, Barbara, it's wonderful to have you. Let's do. I mean, I'll do a couple more, and then we'll close this out because we've been talking going on 2 hours now, man.
Oh wow, it's
What,
going fast.
what about Duke, dude?
Oh man, so I didn't have a chance to spend time with Duke personally. I met him. I can't know. This has been over 5 years. But I didn't have time to spend personal time with him until this past summer. I taught a workshop in Canada, and while we were there, anytime we travel, we always take a lot of personal time to maybe visit other dog trainers or just see that part of the country. Or if we're in a different country, then we're definitely going to spend time to see that. Liz was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, Duke Ferguson's in Canada. I want to go spend time with him." Because I knew we were in the same stuff. He likes to fish. He's into outdoors. I am too. I grew up fishing and hunting, so I knew we'd hit it off. Man, I took so much. Just spending a week with Duke when I left. One of the things that I told him when I left, I wrote him a message and I said, "Man, I know we spent a short time together, but I consider you one of my best friends in that short time, and I just wanted you to know that." But he was a much different person than I anticipated. And what Duke taught me is that no matter how close you are, to someone or how much you know them, don't be afraid to share your most inner thoughts and your most personal thoughts, because there's something that they can get out of it. I was very surprised on how open he was about things that most people wouldn't be open to other people, even if they were super close to him. So it really opened my eyes to not be as defensive on my feelings or things I've been through. And actually, talking to people about this stuff can be super beneficial and actually healing if you do so.
I agree, man. Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, like even this conversation that we've had today, especially with that, when you're talking about the dog, the categories of the dogs with the rescue that you endured and how that was the roughest 2 weeks of your life, man, but I think somebody's going to gain value out of this. You guys knock it off. My two dogs are like, dude. Yeah, chill. Come here. Say hi to Jason. I should jump up in my arms here. This is Yaya.
There's one of your little ones.
Yeah.
Did I meet that one that I was there? That one looks kind of young. Was that one?
Yeah, she's old now.
Okay.
You hear that? She says you look young, baby.
Yeah, very puppy face.
Speak. In the mic, speak. Yeah, speak. Cattle dogs are nuts.
For example, Bill, I taught a workshop once, and like I said earlier, I try to tell everybody my mistakes so they don't make them. Well, one of the mistakes I made with my large field social is I used to put small dogs with big dogs. And I did that for a long time. And one time things went really bad and a dog actually died from a bigger dog. A small dog did. And I felt like it was important to tell people this so they didn't make the same mistake and what the consequences could be. But I was teaching a workshop in Pennsylvania, and there was another, and I'm not going to say any names, but there was a very well-known dog trainer there that was going to start socializing dogs, and he wanted to see how I did it. And this guy was a total jerk. Like, he would show up late. He would fall asleep right in the middle of my presentations throughout the day. He wouldn't follow any of the rules when we were doing activities. But what really put me off with this guy is when I told the story about the dog dying, he totally ridiculed for me and made fun and jokes about it for the rest of the day. And at that point, I was like, well, I just probably shouldn't tell that story anymore. I'm just going to leave that out because this is what this can get me. But after I spent time with Duke, I've done a couple workshops after that, and I started telling people again. I was like, you know what? Just because I had, one person that was a fucking asshole when I was trying to help people, doesn't mean that I can't keep trying to help people in the way that I was helping people before. So yeah, Duke helped change that, man. So it helped the way I teach my workshops at certain points.
Well, and it's important to know that there are assholes out there too, dude.
Yeah.
And once somebody showed you their hand, that's when I'm like, thankful to know. But it sucks, dude, when people try to be honest and they're ridiculed for it. So I'm sorry that happened, and I'm sorry that that dog died.
Yeah,
and
it was horrible, but you learned from it, man. Like, so I changed things up, and it's never happened before. I mean, never happened again, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? So what's the cutoff? Like for me, dogs 40 pounds and under, and dogs like even 35 pounds, 40 pounds and under, don't interact with dogs that are over 40 pounds. And you're one of the reasons why, because I remember you telling me this like when it happened, and then also I've had dogs like I had a dog get hurt when a big dog wasn't attacking him or anything. He just ran across the field and clipped a little dog. And just the sheer physics of this dog traveling at that rate of speed and clipping this dog hurt that other dog. It didn't kill him, but it was pretty scary there for a bit. And that did it for me.
So we all start about 35 pounds and smaller,
Yeah.
and 6 months and younger. We try
Yep.
to put them with the group, and then of course 30 pounds and bigger, 6 months and older. But that can be super flexible, right? Like in daycare, we have a 50-pound golden retriever mix that does perfectly fine with the small dogs and puppies. And I have no worry in the world. This dog's slow moving, it's very polite, but is terrified of the big dog group. And then we have we have a Frenchie that goes about
Yeah, those Frenchies.
that it has to be with the big dogs. Like it has no problem doing well with the big dogs, but it's way too much for the small dogs and way too much for the puppies. So it can vary, but that's where we start, and we start there, and then we can adjust as we go and get to learn the dog a little better.
Okay. Yeah, man, that's so cool, dude. I hope to come down there and hang out with you and go. I want to do one of those large pack socials, and I want to do one. I just wanted a perimeter fence a little bit more secure here before I do them here. But once I start doing them, you're my guy. I'm going to fly you up here
Dude,
for a little.
Man.
Yeah,
for
consulting.
I'm trying to set something up with Duke to teach a workshop down here at the beginning of March.
Okay.
Yeah, man, if you had nothing to do and you wanted to swing down, that'd be a good time. That'd be a party. I'm also competing at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo on the 3rd of March, which is my favorite trial because it's in front of a big, huge crowd.
Cool.
Most trials are on farms. They're just a few people watching, the people that work their dogs and family members and friends. But this is an event where they have bleachers and thousands of people that are watching, so it's super cool. So we haven't set up a time. Me and Duke are fresh into talking about this. Matter of fact, we just started discussing it last week. But yeah, man, if you had free time during then, we could do herding, we could do big, large dog social, we can hang out and do all kinds of stuff.
Just send me the dates, man, because at the beginning of March, I do have a little window, but the rest of the year, man, I'm already starting. We were talking about this. Like I'm already starting to get booked for events and seminars, and in one aspect, it's amazing because it's good to know that you're wanted and your knowledge is helpful to others. But on the other aspect, I love my liberty, dude, and I love just doing what I do anytime, and it kind of gives me anxiety to be so locked down, to commitments. You guys knock it off. I don't know if you can hear them being idiots behind the curtain.
No, I can.
Awesome, brother. Well, what's the best way that people get a hold of you? Is there anything that we did not talk about that you want to chat about?
My daughter's not here, but she wanted me to show you this, that she still has the glass fish you made her while we were there.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
I do need to get back out there on the torch. I haven't been out there for a while. Here's a little marble that I've made recently that I don't know if
Oh, wow. Yeah.
you
No,
can see that there.
Oh, wait a minute. She is here. Hey, come say hi to Bill real fast. Juliet, real quick. Oh, no, she's been sick, so no makeup, no hair done. She ran the other way.
It's all good. Tell her I say hi and get better. And
Yeah, no big deal. Tell her no big deal. The best way to get a hold of me is transformmydog.com.
Okay.
I'm not on social media. I only pick up my phone probably 3 days a week. I don't carry it much, so through my phone's the worst way to get a hold of me. But Liz is in front of a computer every day. She has to be for that part of the business. So if you just email me, transformmydog.com. I have some workshops, some seminars that I already have in place. I can throw those out there. April 19th and 20th, I'll be in Virginia. Teaching my Lifesaver seminar. It's a two-day thing. May 3rd and 4th, I'll be in New England. June, I'll be in Australia. Those dates haven't been locked down yet, but it looks like the beginning of June. And then in September, I'll be in Vermont the 27th and the 29th.
It's a cool place that you got
anybody
here, man.
wants to learn how to do some large field social or just get an idea or see how I do it, those are my dates for this year.
Fantastic. View our calendar. This is another. So indoor, this is the indoor, outdoor, keep on trucking.
Yeah, those are just classes we offer up at the center.
Awesome. Do you have the calendar of the dates that you just said about?
No, they're not on there.
They will be.
They will be, but Liz will put them on the event page at the beginning of the year in January.
Fantastic. And I just posted up a link to transformmydog.com in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you, Liz. And dude, thank you for doing this, man.
I enjoyed it. And like I said, after we spent some personal time together, man, I really hold our friendship in high regard. And I see us being friends for the rest of our lives. And I'm looking forward to, you were talking about going to PEI in the summertime and visiting Duke for a little bit. He's trying to get some trainers together to have a little powwow. Man, I think that would be an awesome time.
Yeah, me too, dude. I can't wait. I got in trouble as a youngster, and so I need to go and talk to somebody in Canada because they wouldn't let me in Canada when I tried. So that's my goal. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
But that, otherwise, let me know when he's coming down there. And then we were also talking about doing an event, Duke and I would love for you to be part of that as well. So I'll definitely invite you when that happens. And likewise, brother, I appreciate you and I appreciate our friendship. And I agree, man. You're somebody that's very important to me, man. And I do appreciate you coming on here and being honest about even the hard stuff that we've had to talk about during this conversation. So thank you, bro.
No, I've been waiting for you to call, man. You reached out. I'm trying to think. I think it might have been in 2016, and you asked me to do a show with you. And at that point, that's when I got off of Facebook. And I told you, man, I'm just looking to tone things down. I feel like I'm getting way more attention on myself than I want. I want to get out of the spotlight. I got some other things that I need to focus on in my life other than putting myself out there. So I passed. And whenever I did spend time with you, I told you, man, I was like, dude, you ever ask me again, dude, I'll jump on it. So I've been waiting since that moment. And then, and finally, man, like it was like 6-7 years later, you asked. So, man, yeah, anytime, man, I don't know how much people will get out of listening to me talk, and talk to you. But if you ever want me to do it again, man, I'd be more than happy.
Oh, I probably will. Brother. Well, let's say goodbye to everybody here. And once more, if you guys love what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, you too. And yeah, as little as $5 a month. I have a $5 level, a $20 level, and a $100 level. And it just really means the world to me. And it helps too, because, this is something that I want to continue to do. I've bought some equipment for the road, and I do some stuff like there's some microphones that I use to do interviews. And there's nothing like doing an interview. I mean, it's cool doing it over the computer screen like this, but it's even better when I'm sitting right next to you, or, we can engage and I want to watch you in the field trials, and I want to get more knowledgeable with the herding dogs, and I also talked to you about the Bellins, Michael and Bart. And if you guys are watching Michael and Bart, they watch these too. This is the dude that I was talking about, Jason Vasconi, the stockyard guy, and so they're interested in getting a herding dog as well. So
Yeah, I can point them in the right direction. I only do it as a hobby, and I don't plan on ever doing it in a professional manner and training other people's dogs. I'll just work with my own dogs. But I've been in the scene for 10 years, so I know a lot of people, and I can usually find people help no matter where they live, just by making a few phone calls. So if they reach out, I should probably be able to help them.
Awesome. All right, brother. Well, you stay there. Let's say goodbye to everybody here, and then we'll say goodbye. I'll say goodbye to you in the studio. So thank you guys for watching.
Peace out, everybody. Be safe. Every day's a gift. Don't forget it. Don't take anything for granted.
Amen.